Okay, so today we're going to be looking at prepping for an advertising assistant interview.
All right.
And, thankfully we've got these great resources from RoleCatcher to help us out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Their career guide and their interview guide are both great places to start.
Yeah, for sure.
Really helpful.
So I guess let's just jump right in and try and figure out, what we're gonna need to know.
Seems good.
So first of all, like, what does an advertising assistant even do?
Well, I think a lot of people, when they hear assistant, they think of just like the administrative stuff.
Right.
But this is actually a really important role in the advertising world.
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of at the center of everything.
Exactly. You're working with internal teams, you're working with external clients, and you need to have a good understanding of how advertising works in general.
And that's something that the career guide really emphasizes, right? Like understanding the advertising landscape.
For sure. And it's important to be prepared for the fact that this is a really fast-paced, creative environment. So you're going to be working under tight deadlines, high-pressure situations.
But for sure.
But, also really exciting and rewarding work.
Yeah, and that kind of brings me to something that I think is really cool about RoleCatcher, is their use of AI.
Oh, yeah. Their AI is amazing.
So we've all been there, right? You send out applications, and it feels like they just disappear into the void.
Totally.
So how does RoleCatcher's AI actually help us get noticed?
Well, what it does is it takes the job description that you're applying for,
Okay.
and it analyzes it
Okay.
to figure out what skills are most important for that specific role.
Oh, that's smart.
And then it highlights those skills on your resume.
So it's like tailoring your resume to exactly what they're looking for.
Exactly. And that way your resume is not just getting glanced at, it's actually getting noticed because it's directly addressing their needs.
I love that.
And, the AI doesn't stop there.
Oh, really?
It can also give you feedback on those application questions.
Oh, the dreaded application questions.
Yeah, so it helps you tailor your answers to the specific job.
Oh, wow. So it's almost like having a personal coach in your corner.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
Helping you put your best foot forward.
All right, well, let's get into some of the interview questions that we're going to want to be prepared for.
Okay.
And RoleCatcher's interview guide is like a goldmine for this.
Absolutely.
So the first one that really jumped out at me is, can you tell us about your experience with digital advertising campaigns?
Right. So everybody's probably done, a little bit of online advertising here and there. But what are they really looking for when they ask you this question?
Yeah. How do we make our answers stand out?
You need to show them that you can think strategically.
Okay.
So it's not enough to just say, oh, yeah, I've used Facebook ads and Instagram ads.
Right.
You need to talk about how you use those platforms strategically.
So like give an example of a specific campaign and how you approached it.
Exactly. Did you use A/B testing? Did you segment your audience based on demographics? Did you adjust your bidding strategies based on the data?
I see.
You want to show them that you're not just clicking buttons, you're actually thinking about how to get the best results.
So we need to go beyond just listing the platforms and really dig into the thinking behind our actions.
Exactly.
And what about like follow-up questions for this one?
Oh, they definitely have follow-up questions.
Like what?
Be ready for something like, what's a campaign that you're particularly proud of in WHY?
Oh, okay.
So this is your chance to really shine. Pick a campaign where you went above and beyond and really made a tangible impact.
All right. I like it. I like it.
So think about the results. Think about the challenges. Think about the lessons you learned.
Okay.
This is your time to brag a little bit.
Okay. So next question. How do you prioritize and manage your workload?
Ah, the classic organization question.
Right. Everyone says they're organized. So how do we stand out here?
You need to go beyond just saying, I'm organized.
Right.
You need to give them specific examples.
Okay.
So talk about the systems that you use to stay on top of things.
So like project management tools, to-do lists, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Do you use Asana or Trello?
Right.
Are you a master of spreadsheets? Do you use the Pomodoro technique? Whatever your methods are, be specific and give them concrete example.
And how do we show them that we can handle the pressure when things get a little crazy?
Talk about how you determine what's truly urgent versus what's just important.
So like if a client suddenly changes their mind or there's a budget cut, how do we adapt?
Exactly. Think back to a time when you had to reprioritize tasks quickly and walk them through your thought process.
Okay, so it's all about showing that we can think on our feet.
Right.
And be flexible.
Exactly.
What about potential follow-up questions for this one?
They'll definitely ask something like, ever had to shift gears quickly due to a change in priorities? How did you handle it?
Right.
So again, be ready with a real-life example that showcases your flexibility and problem-solving skills.
All right. Good advice.
All right.
This next one always feels a little bit like a trap to me. Can you tell us about a time when you had to handle a difficult client or situation?
Oh, yeah, that one.
It's like they're just waiting for us to mess up.
I know it can feel that way, but it's actually a great opportunity to show off your problem-solving skills and your communication skills.
So we shouldn't try to sugarcoat it and pretend like we've never had a difficult client interaction.
No, absolutely not. Be authentic. Choose an example where you took initiative and achieved a positive outcome, even if the situation was difficult.
Okay.
Focus on the steps that you took, how you communicated clearly, and how you ultimately navigated the challenge successfully.
Okay. So it's all about showing that we can handle those tough situations.
Exactly.
And what about if they ask, looking back, what would you do differently in that situation?
That's a great question, and it's important to be honest here. If there's something that you learned from that experience, don't be afraid to share it.
I see.
It shows that you're committed to continuous improvement. Just remember to frame it positively.
So like focus on the lessons learned and how you've grown as a professional.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next question. How do you stay up to date with the latest advertising trends and technologies?
This is a really important one. They want to see that you're passionate about the industry
Right.
and that you're actively trying to expand your knowledge.
Okay. So it's not enough to just list a bunch of industry resources.
No, you need to explain how you use those resources to stay ahead of the curve.
So like mention blogs, podcasts, conferences, but then also talk about how we apply that knowledge.
Exactly. Maybe there's a recent trend that you're really excited about.
Right.
Share that with them and explain how you think it could be applied to their company or their specific industry.
Well, that's smart.
It shows that you're not just passively consuming information, you're actively thinking about how to use it in a practical way.
I like it. All right. What about follow-up questions for this one?
Oh, be prepared for something like, what's a recent trend that excites you and how could it be applied to company industry?
So we need to have done our research on the company beforehand.
Absolutely know their target audience, know their goals, and tailor your answer accordingly.
All right, moving right along, we got that. Can you describe your experience with copywriting and content creation?
So this one is all about showing that you understand how content fits into the overall advertising strategy.
So it's more than just being a good writer.
Exactly. You need to show that you can write for different audience,
Okay.
different platforms, and that you're always thinking about the bigger picture.
So instead of just saying, I'm a great writer, what should we do?
Show them examples. Bring your portfolio.
Okay.
Do you have experience writing social media posts, website, copy email newsletters?
Right.
Show them what you can do and explain your thought process.
I see. So we need to demonstrate that we're not just throwing words on a page,
Yeah,
but that we're crafting content with a specific purpose in mind.
exactly.
And what about potential follow-up questions?
Oh, they might ask something like, how would you adapt your writing style for different audiences or platforms? So have a few examples ready to go. Maybe you wrote a playful social media caption for a younger audience,
Right.
and then switched gears to write a more formal press release for a corporate client.
I see.
Show them that you can adapt your style to fit the needs of the project.
All right, that makes sense. All right, let's talk about success stories. The next question is, can you give an example of a successful campaign you have worked on?
All right, this is your chance to brag a little bit.
Okay, but how do we do it effectively?
Quantifiable results.
Yes, the numbers.
Exactly. Did you increase engagement? Did you drive traffic to a website?
Did we boost sales?
Did you boost sales, be specific, and use numbers to back up your claims?
So instead of just saying the campaign went really well, we should say something
The
like,
campaign resulted in a 20% increase in website traffic and a 15% boost in qualified leads.
I like it. It's much more concrete.
Exactly. And you know what's really cool about RoleCatcher?
What?
They have this feature where you can actually showcase your impact with data visualizations.
Oh.
So imagine presenting a chart or a graph that clearly shows the positive results of your campaign. That's powerful stuff.
That's really cool. It takes storytelling to a whole new level.
Exactly. And you know what else?
What?
Be prepared to discuss the challenges that you faced and how you overcame them.
Okay.
This shows that you're not just taking credit for the wins, but that you're also acknowledging that success often comes from overcoming obstacles.
And what about follow-up questions for this one?
They might ask something like, what were the biggest challenges you faced in that campaign and how did you overcome them?
Okay.
So be honest, reflect on your process, and highlight your problem-solving abilities.
Okay. All right. Last question in this section. How do you measure and analyze the performance of advertising campaigns?
This one sounds a bit technical,
It does.
but it's actually really important. They want to hear that you understand the importance of data.
Okay, so we need to know our metrics.
Exactly. They want to hear those buzzwords, metrics, KPIs, ROI.
Right, right.
But don't
right.
just list them. Explain how you use data to inform your decisions.
So we need to show them that we're not just data monkeys, but that we're data-driven decision makers.
Exactly. Talk about how you track specific metrics, how you analyze trends, and how you use those insights to optimize campaigns for maximum impact.
Okay, and I bet they're going to ask us to apply this to their specific company.
Oh, you bet. A common follow-up question is, what are some specific metrics you track for a company industry campaign and why?
Okay.
So make sure you've done your research, know the company, know their industry, and be prepared to discuss the metrics that matter most to them.
And this is where RoleCatcher's AI can come in handy again, right?
Absolutely. Their AI can actually suggest relevant metrics based on the company and the specific role you're applying for.
Oh, wow.
So it takes the guesswork out of it and helps you focus on what truly matters.
This has been so helpful.
Yeah,
I feel much more prepared to tackle those interview questions now.
I'm glad to hear that.
But the journey doesn't end with the interview, right?
Yeah.
We need to talk about what comes next.
Exactly. Landing the job is just the first step.
So what are some things that we should be thinking about as we build our careers in advertising?
Well, let's start by looking at some potential career paths. So, let's say you aced that interview and you landed the job. Congratulations. But it doesn't stop there, right?
No, of course not.
So what happens next? How do you actually build a career in advertising?
And that's one of the things I really appreciate about RoleCatcher is they don't just help you get the interview, they actually have resources to help you think about your whole career.
Yeah, exactly. And their career guide is really great for that. It outlines potential career paths for someone starting out as an advertising assistant.
And I remember seeing in there that, you might start as an assistant and then move up to a coordinator role.
Right. And then from there, you could specialize in a particular area, like maybe you're really interested in digital marketing or media buying or something like that.
And they even mentioned roles like advertising specialist and account executive.
Yeah, those are definitely roles you could work towards. But the key takeaway here is that it's not just about climbing the ladder.
Right.
It's about developing your skills and finding a path that really aligns with your passions and your strengths.
And does RoleCatcher help us figure that out too?
They do. They have in-depth guides on all sorts of advertising skills.
Oh, wow.
So you could deep dive into copywriting market research, even mastering specific advertising platforms.
So it's like having a personalized learning library.
Exactly. And it's all tailored to your specific career goals.
That's so cool. So even after we get the job, RoleCatcher can help us stay ahead of the curve and keep learning and growing.
Exactly, because the advertising world is constantly changing. You got to stay on top of things.
And we can't forget about networking.
Oh, networking is huge in advertising.
I know, but it can be kind of intimidating.
I know what you mean, but RoleCatcher actually has features to help you with that too.
Really?
Yeah, they can help you organize your contacts and even find relevant industry events.
Oh, that's amazing. So they're really taking all the guesswork out of it.
Exactly. They want to set you up for success.
Okay. I'm seriously impressed with RoleCatcher. They've thought of everything.
They really have.
So we've talked about what the role is, how to nail the interview questions, and even how to plan our long-term careers. Is there anything else we should be thinking about?
Well, we should talk about the realities of the job, both the good and the bad.
Right, because the career guide was pretty honest about that. It wasn't just all sunshine and roses.
Exactly, and I think that's really important because you don't want to go into this job with unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, for sure. So what are some of the challenges that we might face?
Well, the career guide mentioned things like tight deadlines. It's a very competitive industry,
Uh-huh.
and you might have to work some long hours.
Right. It's not always going to be glamorous.
No, but that's true of most jobs.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think it's better to be prepared for those challenges than to be blindsided by them once you're in the role.
Absolutely. It's all about setting realistic expectations.
Exactly.
Okay. So should we get back to those interview questions then?
Yeah, let's do it. I think we have a few more to cover.
All right. So before we wrap up our deep dive into, the world of advertising assistance, let's go back to something we talked about earlier, and that's really understanding the bigger picture of the advertising landscape.
Oh, yeah, that's super important.
But it can feel kind of overwhelming, right? There's so many moving parts, so many different platforms and trends. It's like, where do you even begin?
Yeah, it's a lot to take in for sure, but I think the key is to start with the fundamentals.
Okay, so what are some of those fundamentals?
Well, what are the different types of advertising agencies?
Okay.
How does traditional marketing work with digital marketing?
Uh-huh.
Things like market research, target audiences, campaign measurement.
Right.
Once you understand those core concepts, it's easier to see how everything fits together.
I see. So even if we're just starting out in an assistant role, we can still be more effective if we understand the bigger picture.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Talk to people in different departments, attend industry events, read articles and blogs. The more you learn, the more confident you'll become.
Okay, I like that it's all about being curious and soaking up as much knowledge as we can.
Exactly. And that passion for advertising, it's going to shine through in your interviews.
It's going to make you stand out.
Absolutely.
All right, so as we wrap up this deep dive, is there one piece of advice you would give to someone who's prepping for an advertising assistant interview?
I would say be prepared to show how your skills and your enthusiasm align with the company's specific needs and goals.
So do your research on the company.
Yeah, understand their target audience
Understand their goals.
and be able to explain how you can contribute to their success.
Okay, it's not just about us, it's about how we can add value to the team.
Exactly. And don't forget to relax and let your personality shine through advertising as a creative field.
Right.
They want to see that spark in you.
I love that. Be yourself, be passionate, and be prepared. I think that sums it up perfectly.
I think so too.
Well, that's a wrap for today's deep dive into the world of advertising assistants.
It was fun.
I hope you feel as prepared and empowered as I do.
Me too.
Remember, confidence comes from preparation. And with the insights we've gained today, I think we're all well on our way to landing that dream job.
Good luck, everyone.
Until next time, keep diving deep.